Are you new to gaming? Are you going to be getting your first gaming console for the holiday season, Christmas or whatever December holiday you celebrate, or you have like a December birthday or a November birthday or something? Alright, you're going to be new to gaming, right? I got bad news for you. You're going to want to hold off.
Welcome, the Gamer Man's Lounge. Awaken to play.
Now, before we get into more detail, I sure hope that things are going well for you. As for me, welcome to the Gamer Man's Lounge. Yeah, but also, as obligation of me, my obligation to let you know the current state of things as of right now, and here's the thing. Gaming is really not in a very good state. So like I said, if you're going to be new to gaming, if you're going to be getting your first gaming console on Christmas or whatever, that's where I tell you you're going to need to hold off, because games today is really not in that very good spot, okay? Especially when you have a slew of escalated corporate tensions, and of course creative freedom is being put on a severe chokehold, like a very dangerous chokehold. So let's get right on going. However, I want to get things out of the way. Yes, there is the stock-related shortages that has been happening from left and right. I understand there's that, but the situation here, as you continue to compete in this rat race to get yourself like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, okay, now let's say you manage to get a hold of an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. Here's the thing, and I'm going to tell you right now. The question that you're going to end up asking yourself is, what are you going to have to play for your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox Series? Because I hate to break it to you, there's going to be a lot of games that are going to be rushed out more. There's going to be hit up with a lot of anti-consumer greedy practices that hopes to basically continue to milk your wallet from whatever pay-to-win shenanigans or whatever monetization shenanigans that is designed to basically milk your wallet, and you just paid $70. You paid $60 or you paid $70. Okay, there's that situation. And on top of that, you also have the excessive censorship going down, where you're seeing games get excessively censored regardless of a game's age rating. Even an M-rated game is not even safe. As a matter of fact, if you're a game that's focused more towards being a damn good game that people are going to have fun and wind down and be entertained, guess what? Somebody will find some way to cause a crap show, and then the game's going to get flack from left or right. So there's scrutiny on there, but on top of games being more for older audiences, there's going to be also more scrutiny headed towards games that are going to be more for older audiences. So that's going to be a situation going down. Now, I did warn about the excessive censorship happening throughout 2022, and it was going to escalate. But yeah. And now, not only that, that's not all. There's also the slew of situations where creative freedom becomes a hot topic, where you get to see games get shut down. You see the backwards compatibility program being given up on, or you're seeing games getting delisted off. Like, I heard about how Soul Calibur 1 and 2 got delisted off the Xbox store, and I was like, what? Soul Calibur 1? Okay, what happened? What's going on? And then there's games like that's like meant to be for older audiences. That's kind of, hey, it's a game that dares be a game for older audiences, and there's people willing to go forward, go wild, make a stink out of it. If you make a character too attractive, someone will come out of nowhere and make a stink out of it from left and right. And on top of that, you're having to deal with, oh man, you're having to deal with, like, let's say Sony and Microsoft that are like, at times, well, Microsoft at times, but Sony straight up is just going way more restrictive on what content releases on PlayStation. And they have a strict international content policy, as a matter of fact. And on their strict international content policy, they have moved the goalpost to violence. We've seen 2 games affected. Doki Doki Literature Club, can't get into that scene because spoiler territory. And I don't want to get into any more details because, spoilers. However, Martha is Dead, which is a psychological, spooky, scary game, okay, that got hit up too by PlayStation censors. And I kind of wonder what's going to happen to the PlayStation release of Callisto Protocol. And that's going to be a situation going down. And it's going wild, okay? Now, Microsoft, there has been some... They're not as restrictive as Sony, but... We'll have to leave that out of that, etc. Because here's the thing. There's the situation that's been going down with Galgun and how it got canceled on Xbox. And instead, you'll find Galgun 1 Remake, like, only on Switch and Steam. And that's kind of the thing. With creative freedom being put in a severe compromise, numerous genres are having to take huge hits. And not only that, but, like, the niche games market, the niche game scene has been kneecapped way harder than ever because of how things really are. And this goes to show how creative freedom is a big damn deal. And I say that from time to time again. Creative freedom is a big damn deal. Okay? Now, Nintendo is going to be pretty much lesser and less restrictive because Nintendo's basically sitting there like, okay, we're going to need to shut the hell up. And that's kind of my theory is what's going on with them. Now, out of all the games that we saw delisted, it's either through ratings-related complications or some outrage mob made a stink out of it and the game ended up getting removed off the eShop. So we had that happen to 2 games. Well, actually, definitely we had that happen to 1 game, but that other game may be a possibility of why. On top of Cero getting strict or something like that. People have been theorizing about that too. And that's going to be something around here. But most of the time, they're going to be very much... Nintendo is pretty much less restrictive, unless we're going to be talking about their first-party titles. That could be most of the time. Now, a few exceptions could be the Bayonetta games. That's going to be the thing. Now, what else? What else can we go ahead and touch? And yeah, there's going to be a lot of third-party games that are going to go wild and there's going to be, it's pretty much more friendly towards the niche game scenes and more friendly towards various genres from left and right. They're not, because they're really not as restrictive as Microsoft or Sony combined. And another thing to keep in mind about is mobile Android. Android is pretty much less restrictive as well. As a matter of fact, you can download APK files from your web browser and do that there. iOS doesn't let you. They have a strict international content policy over in iOS that really kind of, you should take a look at the iOS versions of Action Time compared to the Android and Steam versions. Okay? And not only that, it is like really locked down. So, iOS, no go, but if we're going to be talking about Android, oh yeah. Android is very less restrictive, so that's going to be the thing. If it's not going to be on Google Play, you can download the APK file, and that's perfect. Alright, that's going to be the thing. Alright. So, yeah. And PC, yeah. Apparently Steam has been, there has been situations where we have, like, employees go censor happy, and then you see games suddenly rejected off Steam, or sequels to games rejected off Steam for some reason. But, however, if you're having a hard time finding that game on Steam, there's other markets besides Steam, okay? And not only that, because of the open source and because you have more freedom, that means more access to what games you want to play. So that's going to range from, like, the childhood, that's going to be, like, the really, really kid-friendly ones, to your Mario, Mario doesn't show up on PC, to your Sonic games, to Genshin Impact, to your Mortal Kombats, Counter-Strikes, and to the very, very adult-rated games like Honey Select, or Custom Order Made, or your visual novels that you downloaded that uncensored patch to, all right, that's going to be a thing, and you don't have to rely solely on Steam. There's other storefronts you can go ahead and buy games from, because when it comes to PC gaming, you have more of that freedom. But you're going to need a good, beefy gaming computer. As a matter of fact, I am getting the parts to build me a new gaming PC, future-proofing related situations, especially if we're going to be talking about Windows 10 and the solid-state drives. Which reminds me, Bone Lab. I read the system specs, and they're going to need you to install that game on a solid-state drive, from what I am finding out. So, something you're going to want to keep in mind about. But until then, until you're able to get yourself an SSD installed on your desktop, I'd rather go ahead and just download the standalone Quest version if you can. That's going to be something. And yeah, out of all the top less restrictive, I would rank number 3 at Nintendo Switch, number 2 Android, and number 1 PC. The PC market. That's going to be the thing going forward. And this is where that doozy, what I just said, comes in. Because here's the thing. When it comes to buying games, you're going to have to do a lot of research and a lot of planning and a lot of figuring out what to do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I made a chart about it, so here's this. Not only do you have to research the customer reviews and the trailers and all that, but you have to do a huge, deep research that's going to take hours and hours and hours and hours. You're going to have to go do some deep researching on the games, because a lot of questions you're going to have to ask is, what is the current state of the game? Did the updates fuck the game up? Should I buy the game when it's updated? Okay, is the localization going to be mostly accurate? Because here's the thing, we're seeing games where localization, like, accuracy gets mostly thrown out the window for either, like, coming out with, like, revised, like, more trimmed down, more censored dialogue, or, let's say, far worse. Okay, there's that. That's something you're going to want to worry about. Okay, there's also some situations. Do I need to import the game to access the uncensored version? Because here's the thing. Oh, people will tell you, if you want it, go buy it. Buy it. Buy it, play it, and have fun. But you're going to run into something. You're going to run into some drastic situation that went down. And as soon as you realize all that fun you're going to have is going to get thrown out the window. So that totally said, this is where you need to be careful on what game you're going to be buying. And that's going to be the thing. I almost burped. Anyway, now I have a couple of personal stories and a physical example I could show off. Yeah, I got one. Here's the thing. Okay, now, one example, there was a game that was on sale on Steam. I got a hold of that game and I went to town because it was on sale. I said, F it. But then later, I ended up finding out that the game I got was the censored version because, well, that PC, that Steam release version, was based off the PlayStation version. And this PC port and the PlayStation version of that game came out before it got brought over to the Nintendo Switch. And the Nintendo Switch version has less restricted content. You have access to more content compared to the PC and PlayStation versions combined. So you're kind of buying the uncensored version of the game if you get it on Switch. Now I'm hoping to get a physical copy of the game and then get the DLC for that game and then try it out on the Switch and check that out. But here's another game that has been affected. I think there was some design alterations that happened in a game. But if I were to import the game from Japan, in which that Japanese import version of that game also has English language support, thank goodness. All I gotta say, thank goddamn mother-loving goodness. Okay, now you're going to get the uncensored version if you import the game from Japan, because here's the thing, ESRB and their jazz music. It is what it is. So it has English language support, so I might as well just import my Japanese copy of the game. Just go with that. Okay, now here's a physical example. Dead or Alive Extreme 3 Scarlet. Okay, this is an updated version of Extreme 3. that was updated to catch up with Extreme Venus Vacation, which is a PC free-to-play gacha-based. It has way more content than Extreme 3 Scarlet, Venus, and Fortune combined, okay? And it has a lot more content and a lot more characters, as a matter of fact. The problem here is that, yes, there's English language support, but the game is region-locked. Yep, it's a huge yikes, I know. But anyway, so this is as close enough as you're going to get to this. However, if you want the uncensored experience, you don't want to get the PlayStation version, as there's a lot of... Apparently, there is cut content on that PlayStation version because of Sony's strict international content policy, because Sony is very restrictive on games regardless of age ratings. Okay, that's going to be the thing. But the Nintendo Switch version, you're going to get a more uncensored version. Okay, that's going to be your uncensored version, the Switch version. Alright, and that's going to be the thing. And this is kind of what you're about to get yourself into. And this, so that's the games of today and how things are right now. Okay, you have to figure out, okay, are there the microtransactions in there? Has the game been hit with monetization stuff? Are these monetization stuffs optional, or are they or did they nerf my regular gameplay grinding, whatever the heck that is? And then also on top of whether or not this game is censored, because keep in mind, you're blowing not just money, but you're blowing hours and hours, you're blowing storage, and if your internet service provider hits you up with a data cap, that's something you're going to want to worry about too, because you're blowing hours and hours alongside your storage and data on the data cap if your ISP hits you up with one, and alongside money. Okay, that's because that's the thing. It's going to get more and more and more and more harder to find a game that you're really going to like. Okay, now if you want to make the search way more easier, this is where you're going to have to go to the mobile gacha games like Azure Lane, Genshin Impact, because you deal with this less. Okay, that's the thing. There's the gacha games, there's the mobile free-to-play gacha games, but there's also the retro gaming. Okay, whether you want to do like traditional, I'm going to collect an SNES console, collect an N64 console, and collect the games, to basically the plug-and-play games with pre-built games in there, like your Sega Genesis Mini, or your NES Mini, or like that Super Retrocade, or the Neo Geo Minis, or something you're going to want to keep an eye on, Evercade. It's a cartridge-based retro-centered gaming console brand that has games stored in collections where you see those collections stored in cartridges. So that's going to be something wild. Something you're going to want to keep in mind about Evercade, keep an eye on them. They have potential. I have their old handheld. I'm upgrading to their new handheld, as well as the Evercade VS. Okay, there's that. But, however, there's going to be retro re-releases, and I have a few of them up. So, yeah. Those are going to be your example of your retro re-releases. You have, okay, Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton Reboot. That's going to be that's a retro re-release that hasn't gotten hit with jazz music, so yes, you get to see the fairy looking mighty fine as hell. Same thing can be said for its sequel, Cotton Fantasy. It's the latest game. And also G Darius HD. Those are examples of retro re-releases, alongside your Castlevania Anniversary Collection and Advanced Collections, and yes, the NES, SNES, and Nintendo 64 and Genesis libraries installed on the Switch. And the Nintendo Switch is going to be more of a haven, not only for like the niche games, but also more of a haven for the retro games, because you even have like cave shoot-em-ups showing up finally on console, like Mushihime Sama, Espgaluda 2, and Dodonpachi Resurrection. Those three you can download off the Nintendo eShop. Pretty crazy. Alongside Livewire finally bringing it outside of Xbox, and yes, they managed to release Radiant Silvergun on Nintendo Switch. Okay, It's crazy. They managed to get Nintendo. Pardon. Anyway, they managed to basically get Radiant Silvergun on Nintendo Switch. Alright, so yeah, so those retro collections. Oh, that's going to show up on your Nintendo 64 library. Go fish. I don't know why they do that stuff with the limited time. Yeah, I'm talking about Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Go fish. So, yeah, those are going to be your examples of... Now, there's going to be some retro remakes that are going to be spot by spot, like, let's say, Panzer Dragoon Remake, or House of the Dead Remake, but with, like, there's, like, an additional mode where you get to fight, like, hordes and hordes of zombies. It has, like, a horde mode on it, so that's going to be a thing. So, also, Trials of Mana, that was a hell of a remake. Loved it. So, yeah, out of those two, if you want to make this search for games easier, you're going to have to go retro, or you're going to have to go to those free-to-play gacha games on your mobile phone. And that's going to lead us right into it. Because with creative freedom continuing to be put in a severe compromise, and we're having to go through all the hooplas in this, and here's the thing, it's been like this since last decade. Like, we've been having to jump to the retro gaming craze. Like, last decade, why did we see stuff like Genesis Minis and NES Minis and SNES Minis, and we're having to see compilation collections like let's say the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and then you see the re-releases like Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton Reboot and G Darius HD, and then the Darius Cosmic Collections from left to right. Why are we seeing those games getting re-released? Okay, nostalgia reasons, there's that, but however, it's just, this was something that's been going on from last decade. We handled things very poorly, and now it's happening way worse. And it's going to be going worse as we go through this decade. And that's going to be the thing. And this is happening on top of games getting rushed out, games getting subject to whatever greedy practices that whatever greedy corporation decides to implement in games. And that's going to be a far big serious situation and very much concerning. And I'm going to say this, PlayStation is going to be the most restricted, okay? Sony's going to be very much more restrictive towards what releases on PlayStation, okay? Microsoft, alright, here's the thing. Now, Sony's backwards compatibility is going to be whatever runs on PlayStation 4 can run on PlayStation 5 except a few titles. That's just it. But, however, due to a lot of people kind of like jumping on PlayStation's case, Sony decided, okay, we'll release PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. They're releasing fewer at a time, but for PlayStation 3 games, you're going to have to play those PlayStation 3 games on a cloud. Xbox, on the other hand, Xbox has backwards compatibility from Xbox Classic to Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Okay, and they added in that last batch of games that basically included the Otogi games. Great. But they also added in Dead or Alive 1 and 2 Ultimate, Dead or Alive 3, and Dead or Alive 4. So that's a lot more Dead or Alive on Xbox. So you have access to those 3 Dead or Alive games on top of Dead or Alive 5 Last Round and that train wreck that's Dead or Alive 6. Okay, that's something. That's something you're going to... And another thing to keep in mind about, Rumble Roses XX, that's an Xbox 360 exclusive title. It's forwards compatible with Xbox One, which will run on Series S or X, whatever. And that's really great. It's great to have something like backwards compatibility, and you don't have to stream anything on the cloud. If you want to do that, you can do that on your phone, okay, through Game Pass, whatever that is. Okay, that's something that Microsoft has over Sony on top of Game Pass. What Sony has up going on is their little tiered program, and that's their little competition with Game Pass, because it took a drastic catalyst for Sony to finally do that. But keep in mind, the most restrictive is Sony and PlayStation. Something you're going to want to keep in mind about. So, with that totally said, yeah, gaming is just really not in that very good spot. And with that totally said, I would start out getting a gaming PC. I'm going to say it again. I'm getting the parts to build me a new computer. And I'm getting into I'm upgrading my Evergrade. Evergrade. Well, actually, I should call it Evergrade A, because Evergrade is just killing it on top of what they're doing. But no, serious. Evercade's got the new handheld, the EXP. I'm getting my hands on that EXP handheld. Alright, that's going to be the thing. As soon as I get my hands on it, I'll do an unboxing and a review of it. I'm going to be happy about it. I'm going to be happy with it compared to the old handheld version. I'm going to be happy, because here's the thing. Evercade ends up always... They have a hell of a reputation, and that's why I want to say Evercade is someone you're going to want to keep your eye on. But anyway, let's get right on going, and let's keep running going. So, there's retro gaming, there's the gacha games, and you want to get yourself... If you're really impatient, yeah, Nintendo Switch is not going to be as powerful as a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series, but there's going to be more games that are going to be restricted less, okay? That's going to be the thing. And not only that, there's more in terms of retro games, okay, on top of the NES and SNES and Nintendo 64 and Sega Genesis, okay? That's going to be the thing. Alright, and what else was I trying to say? Okay, get yourself a Nintendo Switch, or go retro, Evercade plug-and-play consoles, or go off the Arcade Archives, or go off the Arcade Archives Neo Geo selection, or whatever compilation collections, retro re-release, whatever you got going on. Evercade, keep an eye on that company. Get yourself a gaming PC. Alright. And yeah, you're going to want to get yourself a gaming PC. Okay? Because I'm getting the parts to build a new one. Alright, that's going to be the thing. Anyway, I gotta go ahead, and that's all I gotta say. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to put those camera lights back in the charger in time, because they definitely really need a hell of a charge. Okay? And that totally said, that is all, and I will be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out. This is a video product made by a fellow gamer man. We hope that you enjoy the content, and we also hope that you enjoyed the shenanigans. We'll be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out. Heyo!